Q&A stuff. So hello and welcome to the podcast, Eat Better Food Today. I'm your host, Ken Cunningham, and I'm excited to be sharing insights on why we believe that health and longevity begin with the food we eat. The goal of this podcast will be to inspire, educate, and enable folks to live a healthier life and do it affordably. My wife and I have been on this journey for 10 years and continue to work on it every single day. A percent of the profits from this podcast will be put towards child hunger with an initial focus on the poorest suburb in America, East Cleveland, Ohio. On this episode, we are grateful to have, and I have never said your first name before, so
Betul.
Betul.
Mm-hmm.
So Betul
Hatipoglu.
Hatipoglu. Dr. Hatipoglu is currently the medical director, thank you,
You're welcome.
of the Diabetes and Medical Care Center and the Mary B. Lee Chair in Adult Endocrinology at University Hospital's Cleveland Medical Center. She is also a professor at Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine. Prior to her appointment at University Hospital, she was a staff endocrinologist at the Cleveland Clinic, and also previous to that was at the University of Illinois Chicago for nearly 8 years. Her clinical interests include cardiovascular disease and diabetes and population health. Dr. Hatipoglu and I met over Zoom back in December after an introduction from Ron Richard, who says hello, by the way.
Thank you.
In this episode, we'll explore Dr. Hatipoglu's thoughts on food, health, and longevity, and discuss what continues to inspire her after a long medical professional career. Welcome.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you for being here. So I always start with asking everybody what they had for breakfast this morning.
Oh, believe it or not, nothing. Just a cup of coffee because I usually eat around 11 or 12, and I wanted to come here before I had my lunch. So I have started this practice after knowing that fasting a little bit goes a long way, and always good to just skip breakfast for me. I am one of those that survives well without the breakfast, although coffee is always there. And it's good for your health.
It is good for your health.
So just coffee and a little bit of coconut cream I had.
Nice. So I'd say I have asked that question, I don't know, about a dozen times now. I'd say it's about 50-50 people that have had or not had breakfast, or just, a cup of coffee or something. So kind of interesting. So the other kind of initial question I ask everybody is about the home pantry. So a lot of, discussion about food and health. If you've got bad things at home, you're going to eat bad things. If you have good things at home, you're going to eat good things. So just curious what you might have in your pantry at home.
This is a great question because I don't believe in bad or good.
Okay.
So there are foods that you need to have to nourish your body. So I have always tons of fruits and salads and vegetables. We eat a lot of Mediterranean diet. So I have right now uncooked eggplant that is waiting for me to do something with him. I have a bunch of asparagus that I have to be creative. I have eggs always in my refrigerator. We have right now apples, blueberries, and bananas. And a few of tangerines left. I always pack those. We have popcorn for me and my husband, but we have chips for my boy who is extremely physically active. He's autistic and obsessed with collecting leaves. So he walks 10 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
So you have to feed him with some energy, and you cannot necessarily do that with lettuce and bananas. Let me tell you, that's why I have rice, brown rice. I have actually quinoa uncooked. So those are the things I can think of, and cans of few beans and a lot of lentils because I love lentils. As I said, there is nothing good or bad. I have pasta, some high fiber bread slices at home, cheese. I love cheese. A lot of different things.
Okay.
And a chocolate. I can't live without it. I do have bars of dark chocolate for myself.
We have dark chocolate as well.
But chocolate chip cookie for my son.
Very nice, very nice. So I guess, you're do a lot with diabetes. I watched one of your videos where you spoke to some of the attendings, which I understood some of, I'll admit. So, but just from a layman's perspective, can you define diabetes for us, I guess?
Of course. So I want to just start with something that one of my patients tells me. He is a type 1 diabetic, which I will let you know what that is. He has lived with type 1 diabetes for since he was 6 years old, and he's 89 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he tells me diabetes is not a good term to use. Diabelieve. He wants to change it, which is so true. But what diabetes is diabetes mellitus is what we talk about today. Mellitus means like a maple syrup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mellitus is sweet diabetes, because there's another diabetes that we don't talk about, which is rare, is diabetes insipidus, which is totally a different disease state. So diabetes mellitus, or overall diabetes, has been around for a long time. The first description, you can find it in Egyptian records, 2,000, 3,000 years ago. However, it became really an enemy to humanity. I would say probably in the last 3 to 5 decades, we are seeing huge increase in numbers. It means that your body cannot use sugar, glucose, and my term, blood sugar, that circulates around in the blood efficiently. So the level goes up and up and up, and if we don't do anything about it, like a sugar on top of a stove that becomes caramelized, it gets sticky and stuck to the eyes, to the kidneys, to the other areas, so start damaging you.
Mm-hmm.
So that is diabetes. Diabetes type 2 is most common we see today. That means that your body resists to the insulin that you make. Insulin is a hormone, magical, helps you use and utilize and consume the sugar in your body. So if you're resisting to its effect, what happens? Well, there is insulin, but there is rebellions in the body. It's not using it, so sugar goes up. That is type 2, where you do make some insulin, but you resist to it. Whereas type 1 is a different story, where they do not have any insulin. These individuals lose their pancreas that makes insulin in the body. They usually get it young, 2 years old, 3 years old, 6 years old. Sometimes they're 40 years old and 60 years old, so rarely older. And they are very different
Mm-hmm.
than the type 2. They cannot prevent it, and they will, I would say, they can die within 24 hours if they don't have insulin. So it can be very life-threatening.
Yeah, my son had a very good friend that he's type 1 diabetic. And,
Yes. Yes, people with type 1 loves to make sure, rightfully so, they are different than people with type 2.
Mm-hmm. So how would somebody know, I think, that they have diabetes to begin with? I mean, especially type 2, I mean.
Yes, it's very important to remember that sometimes, no matter how much we have love and hate relationship with our family is the mirror of what we carry as genes. So if you have anyone in the family, mom, dad, sister, brothers, which we know, uncles, grandparents with diabetes, know that you are very high risk for it. So to start with that is important, because a lot of times diabetes in early stages, you might not feel anything. You might just feel tired a little bit. Well, all of us feel tired. You might have a sandwich and suddenly you are feeling drained and you need something to pick me up, like a coffee or something 2 hours after. It's an early sign that your sugar might be going too high and you're not able to use it. That's causing you to be tired. As the disease a little bit progresses and still you're not aware of it, you can get things like losing weight, urinating, peeing a lot, feeling thirsty a lot. Early in type 2 diabetes, believe it or not, you can actually gain weight, not lose the weight. That might be a very early sign too. So how do you know? One, look at your family members. Do you have someone? Then get checked for it. Two, just make sure you watch what happens and how you feel after you eat. Do you feel tired? Are you gaining a lot of weight suddenly or losing a lot of weight suddenly? Those are the major signs. But it's a silent disease in many ways.
And where do you Cleveland and nationally, where's diabetes, type 2 diabetes specifically, where do we sit, I guess?
We sit in a very bad position. we are top, if you want to put it there. We are very high up. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Yeah. So unfortunately, Cleveland, especially our area where we practice, like I'm from University Hospitals and Northeast Ohio, we are up to almost 20% in diabetes number. In the overall country, we are around 10%, close to 10%. You can see that we are not doing very well or overachieving in a wrong area.
So I want to get into how we get to some solutions that people can kind of work on that area. I'm just going to read. So I did a little bit of research, and I also mentioned I watched your video back in December. So just to kind of put I guess a little bit more data around this. So it says that each year the direct medical costs of diabetes are about $237 billion. That's a lot of money, with another $90 billion in losses from reduced productivity. Diabetes is considered one of the 4 chronic diseases in the U.S. That affect our health. The other 3 being heart disease, cancer, and then kind of neurological or brain diseases. Diabetes is now the 7th leading cause of death in the U.S., but it is also believed to have a significant impact on those other 3 areas: heart, cancer, and Alzheimer's specifically. So in your talk back in December, the part that I did understand, you kind of talked about that just a 1% reduction in A1C has seen significant positive health effects on those other 3 areas. So I guess from a non-prescription perspective, I guess how can things like food, exercise, sleep help in reducing that A1C?
It's extremely important to understand this concept that diabetes needs to be treated first with nutrition, exercise, mental and soul health, and then medications in a way. A lot of times we don't have time to wait until the others builds up, so we throw in the medications.
Mm-hmm.
However, one has to really go to the root of the disease. Root of the disease is resistance to insulin, because the body cannot take it anymore. I always tell the patients is think about it like your pancreas that makes insulin, running a marathon, and is now tired, so exhausted. It's just doesn't want to do anything and wants to lie down and wants to just rest. But while doing that, it's killing you. So you can help that by changing the demand on the pancreas. If you eat vegetables that are not high starch, green leafy vegetables, high fiber carbohydrates, if you want to eat them, lean meats, fat, you're resting the pancreas. You are giving it a breathing time. It can breathe. It will say, I feel so much better.
Thank you for feeding it.
Thank you for giving me my
Mm-hmm.
life back.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for doing that. So as you do the food, exercise is the second piece to it. Because as you exercise, the resistance in the body, those rebels, they suddenly start dancing. They're not rebelliant anymore. They function better. They're happier. They're joyful. That's just because you walked a mile today. Can you imagine? So those changes in the body with the nervous system, with the neurotransmitter, with the hormones, all the signals that comes from your muscles, your joints, when you just do something like walking, or dancing if that's what you want, swimming. You could walk at home if you can't go anywhere else. Running, of course, bicycling. I mean, there are so many options. If you want a horseback riding, go for it. Um, so there are so many things you can do, but exercise and nutrition changes can not only change the diabetes, let me tell you, it can reverse the diabetes. You have the power to reverse it if it was caught on time. Which I add this because if there are individuals listening to this and they tried everything and they still have to take insulin or they are taking, it's okay. It's okay. It could have been worse. What they are doing is preventing things from getting worse, preventing getting more complications. They're halting it or reversing some of it. So it's okay, but many others can have the power back by reversing the disease. Oh my God, that is huge.
That is huge. So how much exercise? I mean, you kind of listed out all the different ways you can exercise, but
Yeah, so there are recommendations, and I will tell you a few tips about it. So the recommendation is, 150 minutes a week walk. So you can walk 150 minutes a week, and then 2 to 3 times a week do weight training. Okay, all right, you can do that too. So depends. Sometimes, if you are like me in my lifetime, we are like a river. What I like to do when I was 20 years old, I hate to do it now. I'm 56 years old. I love walking in the nature in a park very slowly, very meditatively for an hour. That's perfect. But if you want to just walk but brisk, because that's what you enjoy, 30 minutes is great. 150 minutes is minimum for cardiovascular exercise. You can do more, but I will warn people who like to run. They can run, but more and more and more is not better for exercise either. So anything in life is about balance.
Mm-hmm.
So one time, one of my patients, I will never forget, she says to me, I'm like, are you eating healthy? And she says, yes, I'm eating so much kale, it's growing out of my ears. I said, okay, don't eat so much kale. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, always moderation. Always I had a patient who had orange hands because she was eating so much orange to be healthy. Like, literally, orange hands. So you have to, healthy also can be too much.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? So balance is important.
Yeah, my doctor always tells me a variety. You can't eat the same thing all the time.
No, it's you need variety in general. There are very few people who might be okay with just eating the same thing day and out. But for compliance, for the pleasures in life,
mm-hmm.
right? I mean, come on, life has to be joyful and pleasurable, and it's not about just eating kale and growing kale in your ears because you want to be healthy. Then life loses the meaning
yes.
as well. You
yes.
need to have joy. That's why when I tell them to exercise, I also ask them, what do you like? Because if you are just cursing when you're exercising, the neurotransmitters are not going to work. So you need to enjoy, bring the joy back to your life when you're doing it. That's why I found personally walking slowly in nature to be very, very good for me. I love swimming, but only during summertime because I love sun and swimming with the open air. But I can't run. It's just not me.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. So if you love running, you do run. So try to find what brings joy to your life, and that also needs variety sometimes. You can run one day, you can walk another day, you can bicycle maybe another day, or eat different things, try different foods. And that's why I said there's no bad or a good thing, because a little bit of dessert once in a while is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It brings joy back to you maybe. If you wanna eat, I don't know, potato chips one time because you're really craving it, yes, you go ahead and have it. But portion control and making sure you nurture your body most of the time is the key. That's what I believe strongly, and that's what I teach.
So help in that, so I agree with what you're saying, but healthy whole foods versus ultra processed foods, I think people get into trouble because it's back to the variety thing again, though. If they're just eating ultra processed foods.
And that's a huge problem. And I will tell you this as a story from my own self. You know, we are 1980s, 1990s, when I am becoming an adult and thinking everything in the grocery store is good for me. That concept that nothing can be bad. If it was bad, it wouldn't be in the grocery store. I believed in that. I lived with it. I fed my children, my poor children, didn't have these brain cells that I have today and knowledge. So it's the understanding that those processed foods, modified foods, manipulated foods, they are really not good for us. Our body is not meant for that. It's starving. We are starving when we are fully fed because we are not getting in what we really need.
Right.
And of course, there are financial piece to it, and a lot of other things can be said about it. Again, no judgment here. Please, don't take it personal. I have done that. I would stop in McDonald's to buy my 3-year-old McDonald's meal because I was a busy mother and didn't know better and just didn't really get to the good food. So I have done it. I am not by any means putting anyone down or judging them. However, I also want everyone to have that knowledge and light bulb earlier than I did. So that they know, they are aware that there's a lot of things out there that are sold today. They're just fake food. They are fake. They are not real. They are very high calorie. They just become fat. They don't feed our brain, our soul, our spirit, our muscles, our bones. They do not.
Couldn't agree more. And I think there's a lot of new awareness about whole foods versus ultra processed foods. It seems more and more people are more aware of that these days. Kind of to your point, when you were younger, when I was younger too, I was the same way. I didn't know any better.
No, we didn't. So you're absolutely right. I think with having the blessing and the curse of media, right? I have my own things about that too. However, the awareness is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is reading, understanding, and trying to get the goodness back to their life, even if it's slower, but it's there.
Mm.
And people like you who wants to bring it to the public awareness. This is huge. So congratulations.
Thank you. Hopefully people will listen, and hopefully we'll get some things done in the community too. So thank you. So there's a lot of conversation, and I've been reading a lot of articles. So they have these new weight loss pills, and they're derived from diabetes medications, is my understanding. So that seems to be all the new rage. Eli Lilly just posted their earnings are like through the roof because they're selling more and more of these weight loss drugs. But I guess what is your opinion of these weight loss drugs? My wife is on a diet now to lose weight, but she's doing it through food. She's not doing it through pills, and the pills are not inexpensive either.
So I would like to say a few things about this because I think it's important to bring awareness and shed light in different ways to remove the feeling of guilt, blame, and judgment to people who might be struggling with their weights. Understanding that our genetics change and continues to change, which means we inherit some genes that were very good for us, for our ancestors, because they were in a very scarce food environment. That was the only way they could survive so that we could be here today. That was ancestral gifts that is a curse for us now because we have a lot of food. There are situations, some from genetics, the others environmentally, placed upon our shoulders for some of us a huge struggle, and it's very difficult to break the curse, quote unquote, to lose the weight with diet and exercise. They can do some, but sometimes you need to help that body to shed the pounds until it can get to this own rhythm, healthier rhythm, so that they can do it without the help of these drugs. So I am for drugs that helps weight loss in individuals that I believe they genuinely tried on their own to shed the pounds, but they need something more now. These different medications we have in the market, pills and injections, they do help. And why not? It's almost, to me, is saying someone with diabetes who has a lot of high sugars, their pancreas is pooped out, it can't work anymore. For me to go and say, hey, if you eat healthy, you're gonna be okay. But no, it's not true. I have to help that pancreas a little bit until it can recover, until it can do the things themselves. So that medications sometimes are that helper, that rescuer who's gonna be there until the person, the environment can let the metabolic milieu to recover from the damages that has happened. So I am for it. I try to use it. They are quite expensive. Good for Eli Lilly, not good for us. So we are trying to figure out ways to get it for our patients who really will benefit, because a lot of insurance companies believes that they don't have to pay for it. However, for me, it's preventing future disease and helping people who has been exposed to environmental effects of what shouldn't have been there, and without necessarily their own will, right? We were all on it. We swam in it without knowing it.
Right.
And it's time for us to reverse that.
So let me paraphrase, and you correct me if I'm not paraphrasing. So, I mean, and it's the same with diabetes. It's kind of like you want people to eat healthier, exercise, do those things. Same thing as if you want to have weight loss. If you need the aid of a drug to kind of help you get there, that's fine.
Correct.
But you also don't want, because what I'm hearing about some of the weight loss drugs is people become, I don't know if dependent's the right word, but they're using it instead of.
No, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not going to work. This is not a replacement for healthy diet and exercise. It is a helper.
It's an aid, yeah.
Yes, it's an aid.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. And you can do that. You can try it. You can take the medication. You're not going to lose anything. And now, I would say this. In some situations, and again, because we are covering, I'm very transparent. We are covering everything here. There are individuals who will use the drug for a while and do a diet and exercise, and then when they stop the medication, they are fine. They totally reset their bodies, and we are, hallelujah, we all celebrate, dance, hug each other, cry with joyful tears. I do that with my patients, and the kind, and then that's perfect. However, there are some individuals that are so born with these defects that the minute they stop the medication, the defect is back activated. And those individuals, this is not necessarily dependence, but what you're doing is you're fixing it. Yeah, you're just keeping under control. That's what they need to be normal.
Okay.
And you have to respect that too.
Sure. Everybody's different.
Correct.
Yeah, everybody's different.
But that doesn't mean that if you are 112 pounds and you want to be 110 pounds, you should go and take these drugs. No, they have side effects. I have a news for everybody. They're drugs with side effects. You should not touch them unless you need them.
So how about sharing a couple of success stories from patients?
Many. I thought about it. I have so many, which is great. Just recently, I will say, we have been offering to our patients that belongs to UH family free retreats for diabetes education, wellness. They are done in nature centers. I'm so proud of that. We put in holistic pieces like meditation, music therapy, but we also teach healthy food, diet, exercise, medications, insurance coverage, and so forth. So everything that needs to be known. So our first one we did almost now 8 months ago, and we have a Facebook group for everyone who attended it. And one of our attendees wrote that this was such a blessing that she came. Her hemoglobin A1C was 11. Just to tell you, normal is less than 5.6, and diabetes is 6.5 and above. And if you are more than 7, it's not a good sign. She was 11.
Wow.
And in 3 months after attending that one magic day, she's down to 6.8.
Nice.
She lost 30 pounds by now. You know, everyone is it's just so powerful for me. And if you ever wonder that one show, one talk, one day will ever make a difference in people's life, if they are ready, that's all they need. That's all they need. They need to just hear one line that we might be saying today here, and that will totally transform the way they look at their lives.
Very nice. Very nice.
We keep offering them if anyone is interested. They can look at our website, which is not very well built. However, information is there about wellness retreats for diabetes, and they are free of charge. We just offer it from our hearts to them.
So when you say the website, you mean University Hospital's website?
Correct, Diabetes and Metabolic Care website.
Okay.
It is there.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So research, I guess that if you could provide after the show, I'd like to post some things like success stories and then just some research on kind of things that you've been involved in where you've seen successes just to kind of share with people.
Absolutely.
Afterwards. So you've been, University of Illinois, you went to the clinic, you're at UH, what's kind of next for the doctor?
Oh, that's a great question. You must have been in my meditation sessions. That's what I'm asking. So, it's interesting because I have been involved in research that looks at islet cell transplant, regeneration of pancreas. I have continue to do research in technology and treatment of diabetes, but I have been in love since I moved to UH with population health and improving lives of people with diabetes more holistically the way I could do it. I love to marry in a way the technology, the artificial intelligence, the medications we have with the spiritual, holistic, nutritional piece of it, because I believe in both. You cannot tell me that I am just this body or this mental person or just the soul. I am all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing the love, the light, the joy, the passion, and the hope back to the lives of people who takes care of patients, caregivers, medical students, residents, fellows, physicians, nurse practitioners, anybody, PharmDs, all the team members. The minute they feel hopeless, I don't know how I want to do that yet. What's next? I will continue to work on it, but I want to bring them up. I will say, look what you're doing. Look how much big impact you have in every single soul, because every single soul matters. And don't lose hope. And we bring our resources together and just keep spreading the joy and the hope. I never give up in my life. I never did. I never give up on humanity. We will do it together.
Yeah, a lot social media, but there's a lot of negative stuff out there, whether it be news, social media, whatever. I mean, that we are so, as a humanity, we are so much better today than we were 50 years ago. I mean, we have issues. I mean, we've kind of talked about some of them. I mean, there's wars, there's all kinds of things, but we're still in a better place today than we were 50 or 100 or whatever, 1,000 years ago.
I agree. So I want to make sure that it's also very clear that you're right. I'm not necessarily underestimating the struggles of being human. Being
Right.
human is difficult. I have been there. I'm still in there.
I think we've all been there.
Exactly. So, and for some listeners, people might think that I was born being a physician. No, I was not. I come from a very poor family, and I became a physician. And then I had a son. My boy is 22, has severe to mid to severe autism. So, yes, we all have our struggles in life, right? So, and there are war. They are very close to my home country. My heart goes to everyone who suffers when there are wars, there are events, no matter who they are, no matter where they are. So we do not ignore that. However, we cannot live with the heaviness of those events, even the events in our lives, and let them get to us. We have to say, there is a moment you say, I am alive. I want to live this life, this very precious life. I'm going to eat that lettuce. Heck with the French fries. That is the moment. You win.
Stay optimistic. Everybody has unique talents and gifts that they can use to, improve the world. I mean, they just need to tap into that. So
Totally.
So, what would you say? Kind of, you've been a doctor for a while, been with these different organizations. What would you say your proudest accomplishment is over the years?
My proudest accomplishment, one, I am a professor of medicine, and I'm so proud of it because it was such a hard-won gift for me. Why? I'll tell you this. Being a woman who wanted to have a family and a career, no matter how great my partner is, which God bless my husband, he's awesome, having a child with autism in an environment that is very competitive, it was very difficult for me to pull myself together to do things, which I'm grateful, all the helpers in my life that came through, all those earth angels, I call them. But I became a professor of medicine, and I wasn't one of those who might have had 500 publications. I barely made it to the professorships. God bless Case Western Medical School. But I did it. It was so amazing for me to have that. And the second most proudest achievement I have, I will say this, what I was able to be given freedom at UH to build my diabetes and metabolic care center. They were so generously let me do what I really wanted to do, which was bringing the same-minded individuals who complemented each other, which were a little bit different than one another, but had one purpose. That was really, honestly, genuinely help people. And we have such an amazing group. I was one when I arrived, and we are now almost up to 17 people in 3.5 years.
Nice.
We are doing all these great things.
Yeah.
We are in national, international podiums presenting our research that we are doing on subjects that we genuinely care about. This is just awesome. It has been an amazing time. But I want to do more.
You're not done yet.
I'm not done yet.
Fantastic. So, do you like to travel? That's just a general.
Love traveling. I love traveling. Many times, of course, I go back home. My second home is U.S. and my first home, where I was born and raised until I was 25, is Istanbul, Turkey. So, and we have been with my husband to multiple European countries. We are gonna go to Ireland first time. God bless Ireland, Cleveland to direct flight.
Yes.
I'm so happy. So So a country that I find magical that I'm looking forward to visit. So I love traveling.
So what do you learn from I mean, from anything from a medical standpoint? These different
Yes.
things happening in different countries. Or?
Yeah. So I will say that my own experience, I think, has been a birth of all these different experiences. I was, as I said, born in Istanbul,
Mm-hmm.
and to a poor family in a very poor neighborhood, and my grandmother was the healer of the little area that we lived. She actually was what you would call a midwife, but not really midwife. She used a lot of herbs and things like that to heal people, and would get some food for it as the services she would provide, and bring it and share it with us. So watching that connection of healing and alternative medicine in a way. But then when I went to medical school, knowing that that wasn't enough for illnesses when they occurred,
Mm-hmm.
it was great to prevent illnesses and maybe a little bit to reverse it, but you needed really hardcore science to do some of the other things that, God bless, we have. So what I would say that, for example, in Turkey, where my sister provides medical care as an internist, my older sister, she gives prescription to herbal supplements as well as normal medications when she treats people, like in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
That is like that. Whereas in US, it's a little bit different in a way. So when we were in England, in London, there was an accident, unfortunately, and we had to go to the emergency room, and we went to the emergency room. I'm thinking, what the heck we are going to do? We're in a country, we don't know. This was many, many years ago. They took care of everything. We didn't pay a penny.
Oh, wow.
Nothing. You're like, wow. you sure? So that was interesting experience of a place.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing, like a dog bit me in Istanbul, and I was taken to a government hospital, and they gave me everything I needed free of charge. However, then the system is very clogged. I'm not saying it's the best way to do it, but it was a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
So there are different ways that I believe U.S. has an amazing healthcare system. That's why I'm here, right? People could say, go back to your country if you're not happy here. No. I love this country. This is my country too. I love it. I adore it. However, what I want for the future of our children, for the future of this great country, I want things to be better than what I got.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It doesn't make sense that I leave it worse than I came into. So bringing the birth of different good things from different cultures, countries,
Mm-hmm.
and putting it in, and almost implanting it in our system to make our system better is what I think would be great. And I love traveling, looking, and of course eating different kinds of foods.
That's my favorite part.
Yes, unfortunately mine too.
Very, very nice. So any final thoughts for listeners? I mean, I'm going to ask you about the recipe next, but.
No, I just want to thank them if they actually listen from the start to the end, what we had to talk. And I wish them truly success in their journey. And they should remember they are never alone. They are never alone. We are here for them anytime, any way they might need. So I want them to think about that if ever they feel despair, fear, or loneliness. They are never alone.
Thank you. So, recipe that people can make so they don't. We're not demonizing drive-throughs, but we'd like people to eat at home more and prepare more food at home more.
I know. I had thought about this, but you gave me a hint that you might ask me. I'm like, dun. What am I gonna tell them? So what I decided to share with them, with the audience, is something that my mom used to make it for us. And why did I choose that? Because my mom used to do that when we were really poor.
Mm-hmm.
My mom used to do that when we were extremely rich, which we did get from one end to the other in my lifetime. So that was a very interesting life that I had with that. This comes very much local recipe where my mom was born, which is south east part of Turkey, close to Syria
Mm-hmm.
area. But when I made the calculation, it should have been more than $25, like you said. Just one ingredient is it's called kısır. Kısır is very similar to tabbouleh that the United States, you guys are familiar with, but it's also a little bit different. It is traditionally eaten with the lettuce leaves. So you make the dish and then you put a little bit or whatever, how much you want, in lettuce cups, and you eat it with lettuce cups. So that's the traditional way to do it. But you can do whatever you want with it. The main ingredient is called bulgur, which is cracked wheat. And that you can buy it actually right here in Rumi grocery store that is right here close to Cleveland downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can find it in Amazon or in any grocery store. And the most expensive ingredient is going to be that. The one pack is going to be around $10, but with one pack you can make multiple of these dishes. So, but that's what is the main ingredient. And then you need to have one cucumber, one tomato, one bunch of parsley, and if you like, you can put green onions to it. We need one lemon, if you like lemon juice, and then olive oil. You can't go without it, and a little bit of tomato paste. So you need a tomato paste. So it's a very simple recipe, believe it or not. You put around 1.5 to 2 cups of bulgur, which should be more than enough for 4 or 6 people as a main dish if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just put it in these round Pyrexes that you can just put it there and pour around 1 to 1 or 1 to 1.5 ratio of hot water on it, and close it and forget about it for 10 minutes while you're chopping your vegetables.
So you're not cooking it, you're just letting it sit.
You're just letting it sit.
Okay.
And then it cooks on its own. If you find fine bulgur, again, in anywhere you can find it, it cooks faster. Sometimes if you have coarse one, then you might need to wait a bit longer. And then once you have your, cubed or half, which I do, I don't have patience. I don't cut the vegetables very neatly. I just chop them. The cucumber and the parsley and the green onions and the tomatoes. You just mix everything together, and then in an olive oil, if you like, you can put a little bit of tomato paste. You don't have to, but a lot of people will do it. Tomato paste around 1 tablespoon, and olive oil, and half of the lemon juice first, because you might not like it very. If people like hot, spicy, you can put red pepper too. So you just mix them, and it's ready. It's very healthy. If you want protein, my mom used to boil eggs and give us boiled eggs with it. So it's a protein piece too.
Okay.
And if you want, you can grill chicken if you want, but it's on its own is a meal that we used to eat. And it's called kısır. And it was delicious.
Sounds delicious. It's very unique to what everybody else has brought to the show so far. So how do you spell that? Kısır, C
K I
Okay.
S I R. Kısır.
Oh, okay.
And that is a Turkish. I don't even know if there's an English name for it, but it is very similar to tabbouleh. The difference is tabbouleh is a lot more mincely chopped greens in it. This one is actually not like that.
Okay.
You have more of the bulgur with vegetable. It's not vegetable with bulgur, it's bulgur with vegetable. If it makes sense. I just love it. And the best thing about it, if you don't finish and leave it in the refrigerator as all those ingredients soaks that sauce that you made, it actually the next day is really great. Also, you can eat it. I eat it all the time.
So definitely make 2 cups so you have some leftovers.
Exactly. Exactly.
Very nice. Well, thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for explaining kind of how to eat healthier. But it's a like I picked up variety, and 2, it's a balance. Kind of what you eat versus medications you may need. And I mean, the exercise is important. I know you've been to some meditation, purpose. Everybody's got a gift. How can you bring that gift to the world? I mean, it's all part of it. It's not just about one particular thing. So
Totally agree. I will give you a last story
sure.
because people might think that they might not be touching lives. You know, when you have a mundane life like we all have, in this mundane life you might be lost. I'll tell you a very brief story.
Sure.
I was in Chicago. It was in Chicago, inner city Chicago, in a very dangerous neighborhood, but I had to go there for post office needs that my package was left there. And my son is around 4 years old, severely autistic. I'm struggling. Oh my God, so struggling. I was down, depressed, didn't know what I'm doing. So I had to take him with me. So I go to this little post office in this very poor neighborhood with my son who's crazy, and I'm holding him and I'm just cursing myself. I go into this and waiting there. This African American older woman was in my next. She looked at me. She gave me this big smile. She said, "He will be okay."
Hmm.
And I needed that so much. I cannot tell you. And she disappeared. So she went outside, I think. Then I finished myself. I went and rushed to actually catch her, and she was gone. I will never forget her. I needed that moment so much. So what I mean is that with one word, one kindness, one look, you might totally change someone like me who becomes a professor of medicine one day. And that lady, whoever she was, just changed me in that moment, in that just moment with those words that she told me. There was magic in the air. So our mundane life still can be a magical moment for many who are in need. You don't even have to know it.